Let's get into it, guys. This is the July 29th Monday Night Raw summary and analysis. This is the go home episode before SummerSlam for Monday Night Raw. Of course, we still got SmackDown on Friday, but nonetheless, man, this is the go home Raw. I do want to say happy birthday to my dog Herbie. He is 3 years of age today. I adopted him about a year ago, and it's the best decision I ever made. So if you're thinking of adopting, there's a ton of animals near you that need permanent homes, and they would love to be in your family and a part of your home. So if you're thinking about it, I encourage it. I had a fantastic experience, and I can't imagine life without my boy now. He is named after Justin Herbert, Bolt Up. Nonetheless, let's get into Monday Night Raw. We open the show with Seth freaking Rollins, who is going to be the special guest referee for SummerSlam's CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. And Seth freaking Rollins comes out in this gaudy, insanely crazy fit. You know, Seth Rollins is always dripped out, got the full fashionista stuff going on. And this is no exception. This dude is dripped out insanely in this referee zebra fit, if you will. Nonetheless, he brings out CM Punk and Drew McIntyre to go over the ground rules for SummerSlam's match. And what Seth Rollins basically says is there's only one rule in this match. You listen to everything that I say and do as I say, or else. So basically, what we get from this opening segment, this promo between Seth freaking Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk is Seth Rollins is going to let this basically be a street fight, a no disqualification match. And he's not afraid to step into the match if he feels like he's not being obeyed by either Drew McIntyre or CM Punk. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens here in this Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk match with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee. We next head back to the Judgment Day clubhouse, and it appears that Liv Morgan has completely trashed the place in redemption of her bad week last week, and Dominic Mysterio really telling her off and even bringing her to tears. This ultimately leads to two promos sprinkled throughout the episode of Raw that I'm going to talk about right now. And that's Liv Morgan's promo. She basically denounces Dirty Dominic Mysterio. She's like, I'm going to beat Rhea Ripley and complete the Liv Morgan revenge tour at SummerSlam. And then we also get a Rhea Ripley promo, which is also very entertaining and very interesting. Basically says she's going to take her title back. And these two segments really got us excited for this women's world championship match at SummerSlam. I think it was very interesting having Rhea Ripley come back and seeing her be mad at Dirty Dom for a while, seeing Dirty Dom tell Liv Morgan off. But this episode of Raw, through two scripted recorded promos and one backstage segment, ultimately get us ready for this women's world championship match. I'm super excited for it, right? So, yeah, I think these backstage segments between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley really dotted the I's and crossed the T's for this feud and for this SummerSlam match that we're going to get on Saturday. They really did. It was great. We then get our first match of the night, guys, and that is the Creed brothers defeating Otis and Akira Tozawa. Chad Gable comes to the ring, and it doesn't take long for the Wyatt Six to reveal themselves once again. This time we get three specific members of the Wyatt Six. We get Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, and Dexter Loomis as they unmask in front of Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. This eventually leads to Chad Gable asking for a six-man tag team match against the Wyatt Six. And he gets his wish. Next week on Raw, we will see Chad Gable and the Creed brothers take on the Wyatt Six. I said I wanted this match at SummerSlam, but I could wait a couple days. I think that's going to be a fantastic match on next week's episode of Monday Night Raw. I'm super excited for that. Just as excited for SummerSlam as I am that match, for sure. Nonetheless, guys, we get our second match of the evening, which is Big Bronson Reed, and he defeats Sheamus with the help of Pete Dunne at ringside. As we know, they've been slowly building this Sheamus and Pete Dunne feud, and Pete Dunne costing Sheamus this match here gives Big Bronson Reed his win back. Because a couple weeks ago, I was talking about how shocked I was that Sheamus defeated Big Bronson Reed. But now Big Bronson Reed gets his win back. Because I do think Triple H wants to do something with Big Bronson Reed for sure. So here we are. Big Bronson Reed is back on track with a win, and we build up the feud between Sheamus and Pete Dunne. Good stuff. Hopefully we get that match soon. Hopefully. We then have two matches that were set up in a backstage segment. Carlito was told by the Judgment Day to put himself in a match against Sami Zayn, but he mishears them and actually tells Adam Pearce that Dirty Dominic Mysterio wants to be in a match against Sami Zayn. Oops. So Judgment Day, annoyed, tells Carlito to go handle main event Jey Uso. Of course, guys, it's main event Jey Uso. So in this match between main event Jey Uso and Carlito, main event Jey Uso gets the win and keeps his win streak going. It's good to see main event Jey Uso here on Raw, especially in a match. I really do hope sooner rather than later, and I'm willing to be patient. But I will say that I'm beginning to hope that main event Jey Uso has somewhat of a championship match in his future or a high caliber feud. I think if they wanted to do Gunther versus main event Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship, they could. And I do think there's also value in doing Sami Zayn versus main event Jey Uso for the Intercontinental Championship. I think there's a story to tell there, and neither one of them has to turn heel. They could both be faces. That'd be fantastic. And I'm sure the intricacy of the story that they can come up with there would just be A1. So I'm really hoping to see main event Jey Uso get one of those singles titles either around his waist or at least challenge for one sooner rather than later. Nonetheless, man, he gets another win here on Raw. And then we have Sami Zayn defeat Dirty Dominic Mysterio, who again continues to be a fighting Intercontinental Champion, who continues to carry that momentum that Gunther built up for that Intercontinental Championship for years. So it's really good to see this stuff, man. Like I said, if main event Jey Uso and Sami Zayn are on a collision course, then I'm all here for it. I can understand why they might not want to do that, but nonetheless, as a fan, I would love to see that. All right, let's move on. Zelina Vega is interviewed about her impressive win last week, especially because she wasn't 100% with her arm. She beat, I believe it was Zoe Stark last week. Nonetheless, guys, Zelina Vega is all by herself during this interview, and she encounters Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville. And they go ahead and jump her backstage. They go ahead and further mess up her arm. So Zelina Vega ultimately further messes up her arm that was already super messed up as she takes a beating backstage from this new heel faction of Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark. We'll get back to them later. But first, we actually go to another backstage segment with The Miz, who formally announces himself as the host of SummerSlam. SummerSlam is in Cleveland, Ohio this year, and The Miz actually grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. So, with 6 days' notice, we now know that this Saturday, the host of SummerSlam will be The Miz. Should be cool, should be entertaining. He hosted WrestleMania in LA last year, and we ended up seeing the surprise return of Shane McMahon. Who's to say that there's not another surprise return up Triple H's sleeve for this Saturday at SummerSlam? We'll have to find out. Next, man, we get a highly anticipated match between Karrion Kross and Xavier Woods. And of course, with help from the Final Testament, Karrion Kross defeats Xavier Woods. And this is great, right? Karrion Kross and the Final Testament need every win that they can get. Xavier Woods, in my book, is already a legend, and he is such an entertaining wrestler, especially in WWE. He's so entertaining that he doesn't really need victories to continue to have his worth. So, yeah, honestly, part of me is like, yeah, it would have been cool to see Xavier Woods defeat Karrion Kross. But ultimately, he doesn't need the victory to keep his value on Monday Night Raw. Karrion Kross, on the other hand, does need the victory here, and he does get it. So it's a great match and a great choice. And Xavier Woods is kept strong through the interruption of a clean match by the Authors of Pain. We got two more segments here, guys, and they're both matches. We have Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark take on Lyra Valkyria, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance in a 6-woman tag team match. This match has been highly built up to over the past few weeks, and we see it paid off at this go-home show of SummerSlam. I really like how WWE will build these feuds and then pay them off on Raw, on go-home shows before pay-per-views and premium live events. So this is really cool here. And we end up actually seeing, you guessed it, Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler, the baddest females on the block, cringe, get the dub here. But guess what? The OG come back. Damage Control come back and put a little beating on this new little faction and remind the fans in the WWE universe who the OGs are. Damage Control also has a backstage segment saying these chicks thought they were the hottest thing on Monday nights. Wrong. Damage Control is. And Dakota Kai is going to have a match with Sonya Deville next week. Boom. We have a new rivalry with two established factions. One has been established for years, and one has been getting established for the past month. So I think this is very exciting stuff. This makes me excited to watch Raw next week, right? Has nothing to do with SummerSlam. None of this is going to be on SummerSlam, but it's exclusive to Monday nights. And I look forward to seeing Dakota Kai versus Sonya Deville, a new chapter and a new story next week. Good stuff. Now, we're at the main event, guys. Gunther, the number one contender to the World Heavyweight Championship, 2024 King of the Ring, the man fighting Damian Priest for that World Heavyweight Championship on Saturday. Gunther taking on Finn Balor. This match was as good as it sounds. This was a fantastic match between Gunther and Finn Balor. You know these guys can go. And what they did was go. They cooked. I'm not going to lie. This was a fantastic Raw main event. It ends with Gunther submitting Finn Balor, as he does so well. And as he continued to keep that submission hold on Balor after the match, Damian Priest came out and raised all hell, man. These guys ended up fighting in the crowd to close out Monday Night Raw. And I can't wait to see Saturday. I will say this episode of Monday Night Raw really dotted the I's and crossed the T's for the feuds that we're going to see come to an end at SummerSlam. I'm very excited for the Women's World Championship match, the World Heavyweight Championship match, and then, of course, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. This show did a really good job of plateauing these feuds that they've been building for the past month or months. SummerSlam can't come any sooner, guys. I'm so excited for it, and I'm sure you are too. This has been a summary and analysis of Monday Night Raw. Like I said, guys, I know we're excited for SummerSlam. I know maybe on Monday Night Raw doesn't sound as exciting to us right now. But what Triple H and company have been doing is been building up feuds that are exclusive to Raw, that do not have to do with the premium live event. So I feel like you do get something out of watching these shows. Back in the day, I feel like Raw was not what's the word? Required viewing. Back in the day, Monday Night Raw was not required viewing. In fact, if you watched Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, it was repellent to fans. I would watch Raw and SmackDown and be like, why am I watching this? Because Vince couldn't tell good stories. Those days are gone. Monday Night Raw is now a must watch TV show, and it's very exciting, and I'm very happy to announce that. I had fun tonight, guys. This has been a summary and analysis. Happy birthday to my dog, Herbie. If you want to adopt a dog, go out there and adopt a dog. I can guarantee that it'll be a great decision. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later, man. Be good. We'll see you maybe for NXT tomorrow. I'm shooting for it, but life comes up sometimes. So have a good night. Have a good week, and we'll talk soon.